Hello, Caitlin.
Morning. How are you?
Thanks for joining us today.
No, thanks for having me.
Are you, is everybody, hey, Madeline.
How are you, Colleen?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm remote today. So I am up in Dutchess County.
Are you preparing for Winter Storm Fern?
Yes, we are. As a bank, we are. So if the schools close in New York City or wherever we have our branches, we also close our retail operations as well.
Yeah.
So we won't know that until Sunday noon,
Yeah.
depending on Mandani. New Jersey is faster on closing stuff down and preparing for the worst. My husband's excited because a couple of years back, we of course, it snowed up here a lot, and then we bought a snowblower. And what happens when you get
Oh,
a snowblower? Nothing.
way to find the silver lining.
Right.
A
So,
chance to use the snowblower.
said be careful what you wish for because
That's
my
exactly
husband's gonna be out
right.
there with you. I'm not gonna be your. I'm gonna be taking pictures from upstairs.
There you
Watch
go.
you use your snowblower.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh,
But
that's funny.
yeah, and Saturday and Sunday it snowed up here. We had about 5 inches. It was stunningly beautiful. All the
Yeah.
trees were white and everything, So
And we really haven't had a winter like this in a long time.
yeah,
So.
we have not.
So welcome, folks. You are here at the all hands meeting for the New York State CDFI Coalition. We're going to give people a moment to join. Thank you to those of you who are on time. I don't mean to penalize those of you who are on time, but everybody's busy and that's the way it goes. In just a minute, I'll have people start going around and introducing themselves. That's always a good way to fill the first couple of minutes of the meeting. But I'll start that in just a few seconds while everybody comes online. And as we introduce ourselves, let's say, uh, where we are, what our organization is, what area we serve, and, if you're so inclined, what you've stocked up on for the upcoming winter storm. Well, since we've already heard from Madeline, but let's go ahead and have Madeline introduce herself and tell us where she's from and what her plans are for the storm.
Good afternoon to all. My name is Madeline Marquez, and I'm the um, yeah, oh my God, executive vice president and chief external affairs officer for the bank. And the bank is Ponce Bank, and we're located in Brooklyn, Queens. We got 14 locations: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, um, and the Bronx, and also in Union City, New Jersey. So we're prepping, of course, all our retail operations, depending on what Mandani, the mayor, says they're going to do with the schools. As we reflect, if they close, we close. And I live in Dutchess County, so I'm stocking up with I don't know. There's something about snow and munchies. That
100%.
wait, there's something about that. I gotta have munchies, so I told my husband to stock up on munchies.
I
So
actually I saw somewhere on one of the social networks that this is like a 5-chip bag storm. So
you get chips, ice cream, pies. It's like
yeah,
something about being snowed in that you want to eat everything that you forbid yourself from eating during
yeah,
the week.
it's all bets are off.
That's
All right.
me. I've
All
been
right.
a
So
member. I've been a member of the coalition for, wow, I'm gonna make 9 years now at Ponce February 1st. So I think I've been a member of the coalition for 8 years.
nice. So I'm just going to call on people in the order that they are on my screen. Your mileage may vary. So let's ask Aaron to introduce himself.
Hi, Aaron Kurlander, Director of Economic Development, Chief Lending Officer, Greater Jamaica Development, based in Jamaica, Queens, New York. We do small business lending, and I'll leave it there.
Okay. George, whose last name starts with F.
It's Fabricatory, but it's a tricky one. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is George Fabricatory. I work for Community Development Long Island out here in Melville, New York. We focus primarily on affordable housing, multifamily, single family, and everything in between. And for the storm, I'm chronically last minute, so the activity needs to happen today. So maybe I'll get some inspiration from everyone else.
Excellent. How about Brad?
Hi, everyone. Brad Cedar, Senior Vice President at Pursuit. We are a statewide small business lender, CDFI. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina, but we're also getting the storm here. We're supposed to get a lot of ice, and they don't do the roads, so I am looking at having my kids home for the entire week of school. So
Wow.
throw back to the COVID days, but we'll see how the
Okay.
forecast goes. But yeah, it's not looking great here.
Wow. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold, so if my voice does that from time to time, that's just, I ask for your grace and forbearance. Let's introduce Caitlin, or let's have Caitlin introduce herself. And don't give it
Hi,
away yet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caitlin Armstrong. I am part of the Capital Access team here at ESD. So I see some familiar names, but if not, it's great to meet you. I actually will be flying to Florida tomorrow, so I am very happy that I'm missing this storm. But, sometimes having a snow day and staying in is the best thing.
Well, bring extra skivvies because Lord only knows when the airports are going to open up to get you back. So, all right. How about Lloyd?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Lloyd Doman. I actually just moved from Harvard Bank over to the Harlem Entrepreneurial Fund a few months ago. In my role, I am the Senior Director of our Institutional and Client Engagement. And I'm also Chief of Staff for our parent organization, the Harlem Commonwealth Council. And essentially, we provide affordable capital and technical assistance to small businesses in Upper Manhattan, and very excited to join you guys today. As for me, I'm in Jersey, in Freehold, and it's estimated that we'll get about a foot of snow, so I'm not looking forward to that at all. And we'll definitely be indoors, and I need to get out and do some shopping because I know Costco is just going to be crazy right now.
Good luck with that. Giovanna, say hi if you will.
Hi, Giovanna, La Forza CDC out in Long Island. I'm ready for the snow.
Excellent. And Melanie?
Hey everybody, it's I'm Melanie Stern. I'm the CRA officer and Director of Consumer Lending at Springbank. And except that I've been sick for weeks, I love the snow. And my granddaughter is sleeping over age 3 for a snow
Fun.
date. So I'm
Fun.
good.
And Dorian's here in Albany, so I know he's prepared. So,
Yes, yes. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dorian Wells, Executive Director of the Community Loan Fund of the Capital Region. We're located in Albany, but service the whole 11 counties that surround the Capital Region of, Albany, Schenectady, Troy, Saratoga County. And we make loans to entrepreneurs, small businesses, but pretty heavy on nonprofit lending. Our portfolio is really, really heavy with loans to nonprofits, and of course, provide training and technical assistance. Yeah, ready for the snow as well. I guess, Colleen, I guess I hear it's a foot that we're looking at, but no one
yeah,
really
a
knows.
foot or more. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Dorian. We're going to go through quickly with a couple more introductions, and then I want to introduce Caitlin to share some important breaking news. So, Michael, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Durr. I'm the Grants and CRM Administrator with Launch New York. We're a CDFI and venture development organization that offers mentorship and investment in high growth startups in upstate New York. We're located in Buffalo, New York, but similar to Caitlin, I was fortunate enough to drive down to Florida last week to visit some family. So I inadvertently timed this out perfectly, so I'm kind of missing the brunt of the storm.
Excellent. Well, safe home. Raphael, please say hello.
I was muted. Hello, everybody. My name is Raphael March. I'm the president of NTFCU in Upper Manhattan. We serve the community between 125th Street and the tip of Manhattan. We do small loans, mortgages, housing loans, and we've been here since 1994. New York is very difficult to drive and to park, so I'm not looking forward to snow. Although I live in Westchester County and we are expecting 15 inches, which means that I'm going to do some heavy shoveling these coming days.
Well, bend from your knees and take frequent breaks. That's as an upstater, I can give you that advice. Let's have, again, we're just going to do a couple more introductions. I'm going to cut off intros at 12:10 so that we can have Caitlin share some news with us, but I'm going to ask Yanki to introduce herself, please.
Sorry about that.
That's right. Sorry,
yeah,
you're
apologies for
lunch.
the late. Yeah. So anyway,
I'm Yankee Shuring from a company Capital, CDFI, that focuses on small business lending. But we also have other programs like an IDA program, a first home education program, and then we're one of the CDFIs that was refinancing taxi medallion loans. So far, we've refinanced 40 from around 650,000 in debt and reduced it to 90,000.
That's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
So it is 12:10. People are still joining, and we still have some intros to make. But I'm just going to ask everyone to give the floor to Caitlin Armstrong. We're so glad she could join us. And Caitlin, I'm going to ask you to share some important information.
Thank you, Colleen, and I'm happy to see some familiar faces. Today, I just wanted to share a bit of information on a CDFI fund opportunity. It is a 5 million CDFI fund where ESD will make grants to awarded CDFIs in order to enhance their capacity to meet the needs of unbanked individuals, small businesses, or entrepreneurs. Some of you, many of you actually are familiar with our CDFI assistance program. This is another round of it where awarded CDFIs can be awarded up to 200,000, and this the use of funds go through technical assistance, institutional capacity, and administrative costs. We've taken a bunch of feedback to try to improve the processes for this program, but also enhance the use of the funds in different ways. So for this round, technical assistance, there's a maximum of 30% of the awarded fund to go to TA services. For institutional capacity, now the max amount is 40%. And for administrative costs, 30% of that awarded fund would go to administrative costs. We also updated our disbursement terms for this round as well, because we understand the payment and disbursement process does take longer during the final payment request and reporting. So for this round, the awarded CDFIs would get an 80% of their grant during the advance, and then the remaining 20% during the final. So this program really, is to enhance your capacity, provide those basic banking services, increase your financial literacy and financial education programs, just doing what you normally do. And we're just giving this grant to the CDFIs who do that small business lending. The new thing with this as well is that we implemented a new platform. If any of you have worked with our ventures team, it's you may be familiar with it, but it's called Submittable. So you would submit your applications through there, and we've condensed the application process so it'd be seamless for you guys to upload your submissions there. I did send out an email this morning that the applications are now live. We are accepting applications till March 5th. And if any of you have received it and have confirmed with me, thank you. Check your spams if you don't think you received it, but I'm also going to include the link to Submittable here so all of you have access to the application.
Thanks, Caitlin. Before anyone else jumps in with questions, in addition to, so you gave us the dates, it's open through March 5th. Will ESD be doing any, walkthroughs, trainings, webinars on the application process?
I'm happy to set up if that's something that you guys would like. It's pretty much an e-form where you submit and upload files. The Submittable technical assistance team is also available if there's any technical issues that you're having as well. But yes, I'd be happy to shoot a webinar invite to you all just to do a run through.
One other thing, in the past, if there were kind of overarching questions about the guidelines or the fund, there was an opportunity to submit those questions and have them kind of reviewed and responded to. Is that something that's going to happen this year?
Yeah. So you can actually submit questions or comments through the portal, and we can create a little FAQ so everyone can see those types of questions that are asked, just so everyone's on the same page.
So allow me to start with a question, and I don't want to keep Caitlin too long because we have other things to talk about on this, but I do want to give people the opportunity to weigh in with their kind of first blush impressions of this. And in the chat, Greg Mara from Leviticus has raised an issue, which if you've even just quickly glanced at the application, item number 4 under the eligibility guidelines focuses on small business lending. So we have been advocating since the last round opened to be more inclusive with the types of CDFIs that were eligible for support through this program. And Caitlin, do you want to speak to that?
So for this program, yes, it is for CDFIs who do small business lending. I'm happy to look into this inquiry on, because I know that there are the CDFIs that do affordable housing and just see other opportunities there as well. But I'm happy to look into that for you guys. Especially
because this, I mean, when you look at the math, fully 70% of the grant proceeds could be used internally, for capacity building and administration. So especially for those CDFIs that do affordable housing and community facility lending, I think that would be really helpful. So Yanki, you have your hand up.
Yeah. Hi, Caitlin. And and apologies if you already covered this. What is the grant period that this grant would cover? Because I know each year, the sort of the post moves. So, I was just curious in terms of the planning. Yeah.
So the grant period is a 12-month period. The anticipated start date would be the end of March.
Okay.
And then it would end of February.
February. Okay.
Or March, sorry. March to March.
I have a question, and it's Melanie. I'm sorry I can't find my hand. Am I good to go? I can't find my hand. Yeah. I can find my hands. Hey, Caitlin. So I think first of all, I love the idea of not, I don't know, some of us remember when we brought cartons of documents down to your headquarters. So submittable sounds great. But I may be conflating programs. This is not the program. In the past, we have used this program for our employee loans, which are tied directly to savings accounts. Is this exclusively for small business lending?
Yes. But under this program, the use of funds can't be used for lending capital. It's solely for TA, institutional capacity, and administrative costs.
Okay, so this is not the newer pool of funds that I am certainly confused.
Melanie, this is way back when New York State first passed legislation to have a CDFI fund, and then we waited 14 years for them to promulgate an actual allocation of money for said fund. This is the 25 million that was promised. I want to say
that's why I'm here. That's why I'm confused, because we've written 2 grants for our employee loan program. Then under this, that was not for small business lending. It was connecting individuals to savings account through our loan program. So, and we've gotten funded twice. So I'm a bit confused about the idea that this is exclusively related to small business.
So yes, in this program, we increase the use of funds for institutional capacity just so you can, prioritize those banking services, opening those accounts. But specifically, this would go more towards, your TA providers and your staff and their salaries to provide those services.
But again, this is, one of the issues that we had raised in years past. And again, Caitlin, we're so glad that you are here, and I don't mean to pile on, but in the advocacy that we have been doing over the last 2 years since the last funding round opened, we had made the point very clearly that, this should not just be a fund for quote unquote the unbanked, which is somehow, when this program was launched, when the New York State CDFI fund was enabled, it was for broader financial services than just small business lending. So happy that you're here, happy that the portal is open. I'm eager to see if we can get some clarity and some guidance on whether non-small business lenders might be eligible for some portion of these funds, because again, you know, given the math that 70% of this, you know, funding in the past, the last round, it seemed like this was like a make work program for TA providers. You know, it was like the vast majority of the money had to go to pay people who are providing TA. So in this case, with 70% being able to basically be doing, you know, capacity building for our CDFIs, it would be very, very helpful to have CDFIs that are doing other than small business lending be eligible for these funds. So with that being said, it's 12:20. Does anybody else have a quick question for Caitlin? This is literally just the portal opened at 10 o'clock. So this has been, you know, 2 hours and 20 minutes that we've been aware of this. So
Thank you, Caitlin.
but I do want to thank Caitlin. Caitlin and Morgan Clark and I have been meeting on the regular for the last year and a half or so. And I want to thank them for their collegial support and willingness to continue to work and talk with us. It's very important. So thank you, Caitlin, for your time, and stay safe in the snow.
Thank you.
So with that, let's start the crux of our meeting. And just to say hi to everyone, I'm Colleen Ryan. I'm the Consulting Executive Director for the New York State CDFI Coalition, and we're very glad that you could be here on our all-hands Zoom today. I'm going to do away with explaining what CDFIs do because most everybody here, with a very few exceptions, are actually CDFI executives. So you know what CDFIs do. But since 1995, and that's kind of when this, you know, legislation went into effect, establishing a CDFI fund. Since 1995, the New York State CDFI Coalition has been the organizer and catalyst for strategic initiatives that help the state's CDFIs and the communities they serve. So the coalition provides a collective voice that allows our members to stay locally focused while delivering impact associated with increased scale. And that's one of the reasons that we launched these all-hands meetings. During the COVID pandemic, the New York State CDFI Coalition Board started meeting by Zoom once a week. We said it was cheaper than therapy. These Friday noon Zooms gave CDFI leaders from across the state the chance to compare notes, express frustration, and collaborate on some of the biggest challenges of their careers. We thought it would be a good idea to extend this opportunity to our members and to convene meetings where we could share business updates, celebrate milestones, and give everyone a chance to ask questions. Today marks the start of our 5th year of All Hands program, which is kind of exciting. Before we dive into today's discussion, I just want to say, you know, I've been talking with Caitlin and Morgan about this this 3rd round of New York State CDFI, what they're calling access to financial services funding. And when I read through at about 11 o'clock this morning and saw, you know, item number 4, which was primarily for small business lending, I was as disappointed as many of you are. So just know that I will continue to work with Caitlin and Morgan to see if we can get some clarity on whether other CDFIs can apply for this, because I don't want anybody to waste their time. The funds available are up to $200,000 for CDFIs, so that's real money, especially when you consider that, you know, 140 of that could go to your own internal capacity building. So I will do my best to advocate for a wider reading of those rules. So with that being said, we wanted to have our first All Hands of 2026 without a guest speaker, which we usually do because we wanted to plan for the conference, but also to prioritize what we can do in collective as CDFIs and allies in New York State and on the federal level. So to those of you who participated in the survey about conference priorities, which is the jumping off point for today's conversation, thank you. Then after this meeting, it's my job, along with the board, not just to program the conference, but to develop strategies for interaction with policymakers and interest groups and the media in the year ahead. So before we get started on talking about the conference, in case anyone has to leave early, I'm going to ask you to watch your inbox for an invitation to renew your membership in the coalition or to join. We rely on your membership support to make all of these efforts possible, including paying my salary. So I urge you all to renew or join if you're not already a member. So what I'm going to do is put the survey up on my screen, and we can talk about kind of the ratings of where things came in on ranking potential programs for the conference. You can read the screen as well as I can. So for those of you who are on a a phone in a car, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. But suffice it to say that I did see some kind of themes emerging, and the number one theme, surprise, surprise, is show me the money. So the things that are outlined in green or are highlighted in green are those that talk about, how do we get more money for CDFIs for not only lending capital, but also for organizational capacity building. So those scored 4.6 and 4.4 respectively out of a total of 5. So those were our highest ranking program possibilities. The next ones down were tied at 4.1 apiece, and they're both about partnering. So partnering with other lenders and nonprofits, and also partnering effectively with state initiatives. So that kind of lends itself also to a panel discussion. The next ranking down was measuring, evaluating, and communicating impact. And I have that highlighted in purple because it also speaks to, I think, staying accountable to the communities we serve, which was another potential program concept. So I think if we combine those two, we might be able to have a good program around that. Mergers and acquisitions was another possibility, and loan participations also scored 3.5 out of 5. So there were other potential program topics below. I just, I will share this document with you all, but I just wanted to give us this as a jumping off point as far as, what scored high in the survey. And now I'd like to stop sharing this screen and go back to a conversation about what we're thinking about the conference. So was there something that wasn't in the survey? Is there something that you, as a CDFI Coalition member, would really like to see us discuss during the conference? With the caveat that we effectively have 7 slots for the conference. We have the plenary program, we have a lunch panel or speaker. We have 4 sessions effectively. We have sessions 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have another program that has kind of evolved into like a roundtable or a huddle. We've called it different things, where people get together and talk, amongst themselves. And then we have an evening event, which is more like thought leaders. And so it's a little bit more elevated, I guess. So I am open to your suggestions. It is 12:27. We have 33 minutes to talk, and you're tired of hearing my sorry voice. So I'm eager to hear if you've participated in the conference before, if there's something you'd like to see that we haven't talked about, or anything else that's sticking in your craw, really. Floor is yours. Don't be shy. I know that some of you have been panelists and talked about some of these things. And so if there are updates that you'd like to share or a different way that we can look at things, I'm all ears.
Colleen, it's Lloyd. I was going to jump in really quickly.
Thank God, Lloyd. I owe you one.
So one of the things that popped up, and this is something that I'm currently working on, is identifying additional capital sources. We have our traditional capital sources, whether it's ESD. We had the CDFI fund that we all relied on heavily, and we know that that is a challenge at the moment. There might be some other capital providers that we should start considering and thinking about, and that's something that is on my desk as it stands right now. Naturally, I'm going to be reaching out to the large bank institutions that need CRA credit. And I know many of them have programs specifically for CDFIs. But I'm just wondering, and I know, Colleen, we did this a few years back. We had, someone from the impact investing space. And I wonder if they are trying to fill the gap now that a lot of our capital sources has started to dry up. So that's just something that was on my mind.
Lloyd, the check is in the mail because when you said filling the gap, the theme for our 2026 conference is actually bridging the gap.
Okay, yeah,
So what you're talking about is something that's going to figure very prominently in the subject matter for the conference.
yeah,
One of the things that, based on the results of the survey and the fact that everybody's looking for new money,
right.
is the concept of leveraging private sector and philanthropic investment. So whether
Yes.
we're looking at, impact investors, which we did do an effort around during COVID, so
Mm-hmm.
already 5 years ago. But one of the other things that I was thinking about, because we have a friend at not Morgan Stanley, I can't remember where she went right now. She used to work for Community Capital NY, Elisa Bard,
Okay.
and now she is with I
Well,
can't remember.
Goldman. She's with Goldman.
Goldman Sachs, yes. And
Oh, Goldman.
I know that they have an impact desk, and a whole team that's associated with impact investing and so on. So
Okay.
I'm planning to reach out to Alyssa and see if there's someone from Goldman who might be able to, come and advise us on how to. I know everybody's got other things to do, so thank you for letting me know if you've got to jump off. We are recording this, so I will be sharing the recording. So if you missed something, we can come back and review it. But here's where you all can be very helpful because, I advise this organization, but I don't work for a CDFI. So you
Mhm.
all have connections and knowledge that I don't have. So when it comes to, brainstorming for who we can get to talk about, not only identifying, but activating these new sources of capital, your insight will be super helpful. So,
Okay.
so thanks for raising that, Lloyd. And yeah, that's definitely something that we want to talk about.
Okay. Yeah. Excellent. And also just to piggyback on that, if anyone has, any contacts that they could share, I would welcome that or in any sidebar conversations, because I know we're kind of all in the same boat, so we can definitely help each other.
That sounds great. In addition to that, leveraging private sector investment and securing funding for organizational capacity, which is, kind of what the ESD funds were supposed to be for. We've also talked about partnering and how I've thought for a long time about how the CDFI coalition could be like a clearinghouse for people who are looking for partners. And we could be talking about partnerships with, what Yanki mentioned at the beginning, when she was doing her introduction, talking about the taxi medallion situation, where for those of you who aren't intimately familiar with the situation, New York State taxi livery drivers have to buy really expensive, basically permits to drive a hack in New York City. And a lot of them got underwater as Uber and Lyft came in. And so Yanki and her organization worked with several other organizations, with the Taxi Drivers Association. I forget what it was called, but Beta somebody whose name I can't remember. But then it kind of came into another level of partnership with Charlie Hammerman from Disability Opportunity Fund, where they were actually putting money in to make sure that a certain percentage of these taxis were accessible to people with physical limitations, with handicaps. So when you're looking at, the different populations that CDFIs serve, there are many opportunities for partnerships, right? And then the other lens that we can view partnerships in through is participation loans. So, one of the other things that scored fairly highly on the survey was, talking about participation loans, not so much how to structure them, because you all have your own things that your own teams that do that. But maybe, again, looking at the coalition as kind of a clearinghouse, how people can, reach out to one another and say, hey, we need another, $500,000 or another $1 million to make the math work on this. Is somebody interested in participation? So, I don't know how you do that, because again, I don't work in the industry or in the movement, but if there's a role for the CDFI coalition to play, again, I'm all ears. So go ahead, Lloyd.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's a fantastic idea. And maybe the role that the coalition could play is this is the place where we can post those opportunities, because a lot of times we don't have a lot of time to pull those deals together. and we don't want those deals to fall through the cracks and lose them. And so we're definitely open to partnering on those types of deals, and we can pretty much do just about everything because we also launched a private lending business as well. So that would be great because you typically have your low hanging fruit, your colleagues that you can call really quickly, but if there's a central place where we can all just post these opportunities, then we can kind of work those together and see the pipeline.
And especially when things are moving fast. Again, I don't
Yeah.
work in the industry, but I presume that sometimes you have a loan that repays quicker than you anticipated, and you've got some extra capital sitting in your account. You don't want it sitting there. You want it out in the world doing good. So,
Mm-hmm.
for things like that, unanticipated things, and again, when a deal is moving fast and you need somebody to just kind of jump in and bridge that gap, see what I'm doing there? This could be an excellent role for the CDFI Coalition to play.
I was also going to say, I know some of the banks have it like a second look program.
Yeah.
We could add that to it as well. If for any reason, especially when you work with a client for a few months and you're really engaged and you're excited, and then for whatever reason your credit committee declines the application, is devastating. And so we'd be willing to participate in any kind of second look platform that we can leverage through the coalition. And I think we can all be a part of that so that our clients will have, additional resources that they can tap into if we, for whatever reason, whatever our credit box is, we can't get it done.
That's great. What else is going on? Go ahead, Melanie.
I mean, I've mentioned this before. It may have been down the list, but we're starting to move into the resiliency and flood mitigation world. We're also probably partnering with a solar company to help finance since there's there's no longer any tax credits. And we've speaking of participation, we've talked to the Leviticus team and NFF and all, lots of folks who are sort of rowing in the same direction. But I think it should be a topic, and just don't put green in there and you're good to go. I'm also just doing a clarification real quick. I thought we had some simultaneous, don't we usually do simultaneous sessions? Wouldn't it come out to more than 4, or am I mistaken?
Well, here's the thing, Melanie. This is, in the past we have done kind of A/B programming, but the feedback that we got from the survey that we do after every conference is that people found that really difficult because they either wanted to attend both or they couldn't get to both. And so people requested actually that we don't do, track programming or anything like that with such a tight conference and quite frankly, such a small group. It made more sense to have singular panels or presentations rather than having people split up into different groups. So that is something that we did. I think we might have done that the first year we came back after COVID, or maybe it was the year before COVID, but we haven't done it in the last several years. Anybody else have thoughts? I'd like to pull the thread a little bit on the resiliency thing because we have focused heavily on climate lending in the last 2 years that we've done a conference, and it did not poll very well. And I don't know whether it's because of green fatigue or whether it's because of executive orders that are saying you can't use certain words anymore. So does anybody have thoughts on that? I know that there are plenty of you who are still actively doing green lending and pursuing it and expanding. Is it just a matter of semantics, or is this something that, maybe we should lay aside for this year? Your thoughts?
I mean, I think we've right.
Well, you're breaking up a little, Melanie.
I
Not
think we're all
just your
settling
voice, but
into
your
the fact that we're
feed.
not going to be looking. Yeah, no, I said I'd love to hear Greg's thoughts, but I think we're all sort of settling into the fact, and it may not be the worst thing that some of the huge pools of funds, which I think might have segregated the market considerably, are no longer available. So I think there's an opportunity to rethink this whole space. And we're going in with 2 feet and
Mhm.
two hands.
So can I say something,
Please.
Colleen and Melanie? Again, I don't know if there's, sufficient or if there's room to have a whole panel discussion and a special discussion around green lending and sustainability, but I would certainly love to have some other forum and some other way of getting an update on what people are doing and what is feasible and if we are turning a corner and there are more opportunities. So whether it's, at during breakfast or do you know what I'm saying, Colleen? Some sort
Yeah.
of, yeah, some
And
way for
maybe,
us to be updated
yeah,
on, sort of successes that are, or, programs that are still happening and
yeah,
opportunities, maybe at a smaller scale. I think just for our own knowledge, that would
yeah,
be extremely helpful.
like clandestine green lending or you know, secret green lending.
Yeah.
Greg, you just came on camera for a minute, so I hope you've got something to share. I know that you're busy in this area.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, I thought I heard Melanie said maybe it's a good thing that these large grants that OFN got, for example, have gone away. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I misheard that. It's not a good thing at all in my view. It's terrible negative because it would have created an amazing scale of new investment,
I'm
and
sorry, Greg.
especially in
I didn't mean that the money is bad. It's good that the money went away. I just think we have to think at this point in other ways and beyond it. So that's really what I
yeah.
meant.
I agree, and thanks for clarifying that. I mean, obviously, we need to move forward, but the money would have created. There's a huge need, especially in New York State, for retrofits of existing buildings around preservation. The buildings. Put aside the cost of utilities, which is a huge problem in making the projects pencil out without tax credits or grant capital or very low cost capital. But there's a preservation issue, I think, that buildings do need to become decarbonized and have their carbon load reduced, even if they're not being decarbonized from a power standpoint, power production standpoint. But in terms of moving forward, yes, I think there are going to be new opportunities, but I know Leviticus is looking at community solar, looking at potentially rooftop solar. There's new, the tax credits have expired for that, but we're looking at new partners and new collaborators to try to see if that is an area that we can, do more of. And we have, there's training that our staff has taken. So the economics trend in the right direction for that. It's the cheapest kind of new electricity power to build. You can bring it online much faster than anything that's carbon related. And over time, I think that this is where the world is going. Right now, China is building 123 square mile electric grid in Mongolia. It will provide all the electricity by 2030 for the entire city of Shanghai and all the environs. So eventually, the United States is going to have to go in this direction if it's not going to become kind of a sort of a fossil fuel backwards looking country. It's just a question of like what role can we play in New York as CDFIs to try to have an impact in the meantime, if you will.
Right. Greg, so did you recently get the HCR resiliency RFA? So, at the state level, there's been, the state is having more funding now. There is a lot of discussions around that. So recently, I'm not sure for those of you who are in the real estate, but on the home ownership side, there is a grant program out there by HCR. If you guys aren't signed up to HCR, I highly recommend to get their newsletter because there is going to be more funding coming down the pipeline through HCR. There's a program for them to do climate resiliency lending for small homeowners. it's probably up to only four unit properties, Greg. Probably not like buildings, right? But there's tackling the climate resiliency. So these homeowners can get a $50,000 loan, or maybe even more than that. I'm sorry. But half of the loan is a grant. So, and then the other half of the loan is like 3% lending. And then there's some fees for the nonprofit CDFI that gets administers the funds. So it's not a lot of money right now. The total pot is $5 million, but it's a start to tackling some of the client resiliency at the very local level.
There's another program, Jesse, that's funded through utility providers, utility companies. Con Ed does one specifically for New York City, but then there's another kind of omnibus group that does all of New York State outside the 5 boroughs. So I can share, I'll reshare the information about the utility piece. And then I saw the resiliency RFA from HCR, and I'll share that with the group as well. So maybe that's, as we are planning the conference, those things are both kind of live and active right now. So maybe that's something that we could, focus on a little bit and have some groupthink on during the conference.
I mean, if this is where we're moving towards, it'll be great to invite someone from HCR.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that goes
because
to our partnering with state agencies too, right?
exactly. I think the state is where we're going to find the help right now. And, I think the state is thinking about all, like, I've been talking more with state officials, elected officials, and so, there is going to be more money down the pipe, but we just don't know what they're thinking, right? So it'll be great to invite them over to give us an idea what's their strategy right now.
And with the governor's budget just coming out on Tuesday, and with federal funds just being cut severely for childcare, TANF monies are evaporating, and all kinds of programs. So there's going to be a lot of reshuffling in the New York State budget, and I just want to make sure that we have a seat at the table. So that's why it's important to have these conversations now, and not wait until April 1st when the budget is due. Now is when they're making these decisions. So let's make sure that, that they're aware of the work that we're doing, and, the role, the enhanced role that CDFIs could play in,
and
bringing these programs to people.
Jess, the person we've hired, James McIntyre, to lead our program is on the board of HCR.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been more connected to their programmatic team, but it'll be great to have these
He's
people.
really not, I mean, he's some know him
I
from
mean,
his other.
Colleen,
But
I can send you the person on the programmatic level, Annabelle. So I'll send you her contact and I'll connect you guys so
That
that,
would be great.
yeah.
And I'm making a note right now to share these two programs with the class. Okay. Anybody else have thoughts, issues, commentary? Again, we don't have to talk exclusively about the conference. I want to wish happy Ice Out Day in Minnesota to those who celebrate. And just any other things that are going on in your worlds. This is the time to talk about it. This is what All Hands is for. So that we as peers in this community can share our experience. I almost said experience, strength, and hope, but that will be familiar to some people and not to others. To keep everybody posted on what's going on. Megan, you came off mute.
Yeah, I have a question that kind of relates to, the topic of talking more with state representatives here in New York. Has it come up in your conversations with them, the idea of creating a state certification program, since the federal process has been complicated for a lot of folks? I know personally ours is submitted and pending for who knows how long, but we've been hearing a lot about, challenges, people, long time, highly respected certified CDFIs having so as I'm reading, like, for example, the new RFA that came out, it still says you have to have federal certification as of when you apply and for every disbursement. And the disbursements can take, a year and a half after your project ends in some cases. So it just makes me feel kind of insecure about that.
Megan, that's an excellent point. I'm really glad you surfaced it because we have been talking about, like what would be like in lieu of CDFI certification, what would be like the, good housekeeping seal of approval or the underwriter's
Right.
laboratory, and who would maintain that credentialing system. I think it's Empire Justice Center in New York State that's looking at something along those lines. So that's a really important question for us to be thinking about right now. And also, I'm working with a coalition of CDFI coalitions across the country. And one of the things that I was able to raise for them was Governor Hochul and DFS, the guidance that they put out in August, which holds New York State CDFIs harmless if they are having a hard time getting recertified because of the shit show, pardon my French, at the federal level, that they are being held harmless for CRA investments from New York State chartered banks. So that was guidance that came out from DFS in August through Governor Hochul's office. And that's now being used as an example, in the Commonwealth of Virginia. They're including, anybody who was certified in 2024 is still eligible unless or until, the backlog of certifications is remedied. So definitely something that we need to keep our eye on and to consider alternatives for if the CDFI fund goes away. Now, like I said, we got good news, relatively good news, out of the budget process, that CDFI funding was held level, but, budget language is one thing, releasing the funds is another, and that's where things went sideways last year. So
Right.
it's great that the budget will be passed saying that, 325 million will go to the federal CDFI fund, but, we're still waiting for money from 2025. So
Right.
yeah, that's really important stuff for us to be paying attention to, and really hopeful that, leadership in New York State will understand the importance of the role that New York State is going to have to play in lieu of federal government support.
I have a few things I'd like to discuss. Number one, as it relates to the CDFI certification, yeah, everybody submitted their applications and we're all waiting, but we're still responsible for completing the ACRs that are due by March 31st. So don't think that that's gone away. That is still front and center. And that helps you keep your current certification in place until they get their act together on the other aspect. The other issue that or the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I'm glad that you are planning this wonderful conference that I normally attend, but this year I will not be attending, as I'm committed already to go to the National Community Investment Conference. That's for CRA officers, and that's in Phoenix, Arizona, and it's from the 23rd to the 26th, and it's at the same time as this conference. So,
Oh, dang. Well,
as
I'm
a
sure
bank,
your weather will be much nicer than ours.
yeah, probably yes. And as you know, and as a bank, we're charged with going and sorry, of course, when I'm speaking, it would ring, right? Murphy's Law. So as a bank and as a CRA officer, I have to attend it, and so be it. So I will miss you this year, but I'll still be attending the all hands on deck.
Great. We appreciate that, Madeline. And I know some of your colleagues have attended our conference in the past, and I hope that Ponce Bank will continue as a sponsor. We really value your support.
Well, it's just Kim and I. We could talk offline, Carlene.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Anybody else we haven't heard from? Joe Marafino, what's going on in co-op land? That's one of the comments that came back on the conference survey was, to talk about the role of cooperatives in kind of future-proofing New York State businesses. All right.
Yeah,
So
hi,
you might not.
hi, Colleen.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you, but not see you. It looks like you have a
Maybe.
little doohickey. There you go. Okay.
There we go. There we go. I'm in the public library, so I'm going to be just a little bit hushed, but things are well. Thanks for asking. News that might be interesting to this group. We're financing like a big buyout up in the Adirondacks of a hardware store that's going to convert to a cooperative. It's like it's been around for 130 years, so it's like a really nice story of the family ownership not having a next generation to come in.
What community is it in, Joe? As an upstater, I might actually know. So
Well, it's Saranac Lake is one of the stores,
Okay.
and then Canton is the other store.
Okay.
So Canton is the original kind of landmark store.
This might be an angle that we can use for another CDFI at work story, you know, to
Sure.
talk about the role of cooperatives, and especially in the North Country. So let's keep me posted about that, okay?
Great, we'll do. And then we're also running a kind of year-long fellowship with folks within economic development agencies of municipalities and counties to kind of educate them on employee ownership. And we've got a new cohort starting next week. It's like 25 folks from around the Northeast, so it's 7 states wide. And it's kind of individual champions within different agencies who just want to like have this as a tool in their toolkit. So it'll be fun to start that fellowship soon.
Thanks, Joe, for the update. Anybody else that we haven't heard from that wants to share for sharing time? The venting of spleen, as I call it. Anything you want to get off your chest? Kvetch about? I've talked a little bit about this, you know, just through our conversations, but this whole idea of telling CDFI stories, you know, the conference is one thing, but all year long, we have to continue to rally for CDFIs, you know, call for funding, and also push back on the cuts to our allies, the allied programs that serve the same populations that we do. So it's really important that we keep telling our stories. And that's why we've set up, if you haven't been to our website lately, there's a new tab and it's called CDFIs at Work. And last year, I started reaching out to some CDFIs, our member CDFIs across New York State. And yeah, as we get some good news from Washington, we can't take our foot off the gas. You know, we have to keep pushing for this, and telling our stories is a great way. When we do guest columns in newspapers or letters to the editor, or even favorable news articles, you know, if we can connect with a reporter, that's part of our statewide strategy to shine a light on our member CDFIs and the local businesses and organizations and efforts that they support. So the 3 stories that we placed so far were in the Hudson Valley, which featured the Leviticus Fund, the North Country, which featured AEDC, Adirondack Economic Development Corporation, and Rochester was the most recent one with the Enterprise Center at Pathstone. So, you know, your story of #CDFIs at work could be next. Drop me an email, keep me posted. I'm always looking for a new angle that we can share with regional press, and that helps get the word out, not just to folks in the area and decision makers in the area, but also I post these stories on our website. So we're creating a resource so that if you have a meeting coming up with an elected official, you can look at that resource and answer the question, the eternal question, what have you done for me lately? So I hope that you will avail yourselves of that resource. Greg, you
Colleen,
can.
yeah, just one quick thing to get under the wire here. I know that we don't have a lot of folks still on. I'm on the board of the National Disability Finance Coalition and the National Disability CDFI Coalition. And we had a board meeting yesterday. There was a consultant who's very knowledgeable and very plugged into the CDFI fund in Washington. And basically, he said that the money actually has been transferred to Treasury from OMB, which is a surprise to me. But there's a letter that needs to be sent by the OMD director, Russell Vogt. God, I almost called him Darth Vader. Russell Vogt to Secretary Bissett to authorize the apportionment of the money, basically the use of the money. If that letter isn't sent, the money can't be used. Vogt is refusing to issue the letter. It's like less than 1 page. And until Trump tells him to do so, he won't do it. So any Republican legislators in New York State who understand what we do and the benefit we bring to local communities, now is the time to lean on them yet again, even though, you know, the letter that was sent against the RIFs did have 105 Republican signatures back in October. But they're trying, we need Republican legislators, and I say that because they won't listen to the Democrats, to weigh in with the White House to say this is really important. And if Trump calls vote, he'll issue the letter to do the apportionment, which would then allow them to issue the NOFA. That's the direct line. I just wanted to share that because I did not know this about this whole apportionment letter.
Yeah,
I've never heard of it before.
That's news to me. So what I'll do is I'll recirculate the list of the Republican members of the New York State congressional delegation, because those are the guys with the juice right now, the guys and a couple of gals with juice right now. So yeah, I will recirculate that. And if you can, Greg, send me contact or something for the Disability Coalition so that I can get some more context for that, what they need from us and what the terms are. So that would be really helpful. And I'll circulate that again with the bigger group. Thanks for that.
Will do. I'll send you the ED's information, Colleen.
Appreciate it. We're coming up on 1 o'clock. So just remember that the stories that we tell will always be helping policymakers and interest groups and elected officials and the media and Joe Sixpack and Kathy Kmart, our neighbors, about the broad mission of CDFIs, that we're promoting financial inclusion and economic security and wealth building opportunities in underserved communities across New York State. So for those of you who are still on the call, I'm just going to make one more pitch to join the coalition or to renew your membership. I will be sending out invoices or emails to that extent. So I urge you to respond quickly, because the less time I have to spend chasing you, the more time I can spend on policy stuff. So just please keep in mind, we have been through a challenging year. As I recall, last year when we did our all hands in January, I actually had to throw to someone else to talk because I was crying. So I was just really all tore up about this. So just remember that we're all in this together. And that's one of the most important things that we can take away from these meetings. So thank you all for all that you do in your communities and in community with each other. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.